Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed last month's episode of Back in the Dave on the story of my band Chace come together. In that episode, I told the story of how I put Chace together, how I began to put the band together, and what it took to do all of that. But now, on today's episode, we're going to talk about the struggle. This is part 2. It was such a struggle. Once we got the band together, once we got all the musicians in there and we said, okay, we're a band, we were missing one thing. We had everything, musicianship and everything else. We were missing one thing. We were missing songs, the most important thing. We having fun, the song that we did last episode, we scratched it. And we needed more songs, more music, because understand, to me, the song is everything. Without the song, that is the one thing that music is. It's the song. So you can be a great musician, a great virtuoso musician. You can run scales and play and just wow people with how you play your instrument. But if the song isn't there, if the song isn't connecting with the audience and with the listener, everything else is out the window. Song has always been number one to me. Now I know there's people out there in the music industry who say, no, vocals, okay. Vocals are important, don't get me wrong. But there are a lot of people out there who can't sing to save their life, but the songs are awesome. And they're successful. So to me, the song is everything. And that was the one thing that Chace did not have. And in this episode, you're going to really hear the struggle that we as a band had. And for me, taking it personal, I had a struggle with the songs, trying to write songs. Because again, me on my mission to be like Lionel Richie and the Commodores, I wanted to write and I wanted the band to have great songs. And I felt part of that was my responsibility. Why? I don't know. Young and dumb. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But we worked these songs and we would massage songs and put them all together and just try to churn them out and make it all. And it just wasn't happening until one day a song came in and we played it. And it was a night of magic in the studio at that rehearsal. And that changed the game. That gave me, and I believe the rest of the members, hope into saying, okay, we've come together as a band, the 5 of us, but we now have something somewhat of a sound. We now have something somewhat that we can say, okay, this could be going towards our sound. And what was cool for me is that song that did it was a song that I wrote. And I'm going to leave it right there because I really want you to hear the story. I really want you to hear all the songs and everything that's leading up to it, because again, the whole idea behind this is for everybody to hear how the band grew, how we molded songs, how we came together, and how it all happened, and then how it all imploded. So we're going to get to hear all that. But for right now, let's jump to Chace Part 2, The Struggle. And the struggle, it really was. Let me forewarn you, you're going to cringe with vocals and timing and musicianship and everything. This was the time between October of 1981 and December of 1981. This was the time that we were really trying to come up with a sound and put things together. And as you're going to hear, it just wasn't working. There was limit in talent, for all I was concerned. There was limit in songs. There was limit of just getting together. It was just really a problem. It really was. But join me now. Chace Part 2, The Struggle. The full band is together now. I'm playing bass. Randy Gregory's on drums. Randy Batiste is on guitar. And Victoria Lampkin is on keyboards. And Tracy is on vocals. I'm doing vocals. Vicky's doing vocals as the lead vocalist of the band. We really hadn't come across that yet. We knew that Vicky was a strong vocalist. Vicky was a much stronger singer than me and Tracy put together. But at this point, remember, we had just met. This is late 1981. When I met Vicky in college. This was like right around either Thanksgiving or Christmas break. I used to remember that very clear, but much has happened in life, and so I don't remember all this stuff in detail right now. So I'm hoping that some of the other band members remember some of this stuff, and they may chime in at some point as well. But it was late 1981 when I met Vicky and she joined the band. She came down to one of the first rehearsals. But now we're a unit. We're a 5-piece unit, okay? And the next thing is to get together, rehearse, and come up with a sound that is us. We still didn't even have a name for the band yet. We were just 5 people, 2 young ladies and 3 guys that just got together and began just to play, and we hadn't come up with a name for the band as of yet. So what I have here in this episode, I'm going to play about 4 different recordings from that time, from that era, what I call the struggle. And indeed it was a struggle, because coming up with songs that we felt were good songs and we felt were maybe hit songs, you know, and that we felt that could compete out there in the market with the likes of a Chic and Earth, Wind and Fire and the Commodores and Slave and Prince and all of those artists, and then the array of other artists out there. You know, woo. That to me, at that time, at 19 years old, that to me was like such a massive undertaking, because I had been such a fan of all these artists, and the idea that I had the nerve to put together a band that I felt might just compete with them on some level, I was like, you know, that you may want to rethink this bad boy, you know, because maybe you ain't all of that, you know. And as those months, as we began to close down 1981, I was beginning to feel more and more and more insecure as to what we could do as a band. And at first I thought it was maybe musicianship, that maybe we just weren't good enough musicians to play this stuff. And like I said once before, well, that I thought about it again. I was like, no, that's not true, because, you know, when I look at my idols, the Commodores and Lionel Richie, they were not the best musicians on the planet. I used to get jokes about that all the time. How do you like the Commodores? They suck and they're not good musicians. The drummer, Walter Clyde Orange, he was the baddest musician in the band. And I was able to peak that back in the 70s when the Commodores first came out. They had this song called Cebu. And he played drums. I was like, whoa, this boy is nice, okay? But as per the rest of the musicians in the Commodores, I think they would be the first to tell you we weren't the best musicians in the world, but they were able to play their instruments well enough to write, to play the songs, let me rewind this tape for a minute. Okay, they were good enough musicians to play their songs. They were good enough musicians to sing and perform and record their songs. And at the end of the day, I think deep inside of me, that's all I was really looking for. I wasn't looking for virtuoso musicians, because with the virtuoso musician comes a huge freaking ego. And quite frankly, my ego was too big as it is. I mean, I'm just going to call it a spade a spade. My ego back in those days was just like, yo, clear the room, because Dave's head is coming in, and to get his head, and we got to make some space, so let me stand over here. So, I mean, that was just the reality, because I was so happy and so proud to have this band and to do this stuff. It was amazing to me. So the next job was writing the songs and coming up with a sound for the band. That was really, really important back in those days. They call it branding now. But coming up with our own original sound back in those days was extremely important. And we as a group saw ourselves as a unit. We didn't want other people writing songs for us. We didn't want anybody doing dance steps for us and choreography for us. We didn't want anybody doing jack shit for us. We wanted to be 100% a totally self-contained band that we write and do and play and record our own music, and that's it. But in late 1981, I felt that ship was sinking slowly but surely. The band was together, but now Vicky's in the band, and Vicky was a very dominant force in the band because she's a very, very aggressive pianist and synthesizer player. She's a very strong and aggressive vocalist. And all of us, and you can hear the competition, a friendly competition among the 5 of us. And I remember Tracy would just sit in the background and just watch us go at it as musicians, just kind of play. And she's going to come on, she's going to talk about that a little bit, I believe. And we would just sit there and play, and it was loud, and Vicky would come in and she was just loud and blaring all over the place. It was like, oh my God, can you turn the synthesizer down, please? Can you turn the piano down, please? So the rest of us could play a little bit. But she was just in it. She was in it, and she would play her keyboards and her synthesizer, and it's like, hey, we're all here, you know? But I would do the same thing on my bass. I would get into a bass solo and start playing, and it's like, Earth to Dave, you're not Louis Johnson, you're David Knight, so hey, come back to the band here, let's do this, right? It was a push me, pull you scenario. You know, it was like, how do we do this? So what I'm gonna do right now, I have about 4 songs that I'm gonna play for this era. I'm only gonna play probably maybe 2 of them I might play in full. I'm not sure just yet. I know one I'm not going to play in full, 20th Century Fox, all right? I like that name for a song. But that was, once Vicky was in the band and she came to one of the first rehearsals, 20th Century Fox was a bass line that I came up with that I brought into that rehearsal. And we began to jam on this song, 20th Century Fox. It was horrible. It was, to me, a total disaster. And it was funny because at that time we would have parents and friends just come in and sit in with us. Like, excuse me, Tracy's mother would come and sit in with us because she was watching to make sure that her daughter was in a safe environment amongst safe folks and nothing was going on with her daughter and stuff like that. So she would come and she would sit in. Sometimes my mom would come and sit in. Sometimes Tracy's father would come and sit in, you know. And I was feeling like, well, we sound kind of bad, so I really don't want anybody kind of sitting here is how I felt at the time. But I was in the left hand, but in the right hand, I was like, yo, we playing. I want everybody to watch us play because this is my band. I want y'all to see. I was in the inner conflicts within inside of me at this time was just out of control. I was so conflicted about the songs, about the playing, about the production, where everything was. I was totally internally conflicted all the time because all I heard in my head was just Earth, Wind and Fire, Chic, the Commodores, Slave, Motown, and I'm like, how come we don't sound like that? You know, I want us to get to sound like that. How come we don't sound that way? And what the hell do we need to do to get there? And these songs aren't cutting it. And 20th Century Fox is definitely one of them. The title alone, where the hell I got that title from, I don't know. But the title alone will tell you it's not one of those type of songs. It's just not where we're gonna go. If you don't believe it from me, here's the song. Check out 20th Century Fox at one of our rehearsals. Here we go. All right, enough of that, right? Like I told you, I can't. That recording goes on for like 15, 20 minutes, okay? And I just had to stop it because I still can't stomach that too much because it just was like, ew. I couldn't deal with it. But you can hear we were trying to get things to. It was also a very tinny sound, and I don't know why, because I was at that time, my tape deck had broke. So I was using Tracy's tape deck, and I used Tracy's tape deck from that point in '81 up until must have been like 1984. I think it finally died in 1984. And also, as a side note, this is late '81, so by this time, Tracy and I were in a relationship. We were now officially boyfriend and girlfriend, okay? And this starts politics on a very low level. And again, I was very naive. I wasn't aware of this kind of stuff, but politics begin to kind of kick up and play games in here now, because her and I are now dating. And for the other members, well, now where do you go with that? You know? But we began dating in, I believe it was September of 1981. We met in July 7th of '81 at my house when she came to audition, and we began dating in September of that same year of '81. So now we're moving forward. 20th Century Fox is like, we played it and played it and played it, and we was like, this isn't working. So we threw it in the garbage because it wasn't working. We were trying to find songs. At that time, synthesized music was just blowing up. Prince had just released, I believe it was Controversy. He was about to release Controversy, you know, and Michael Jackson had just released Thriller, and so Thriller was out, and you had Billie Jean with that bam, dum, 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 all the bass stuff going on, all the synth work going on and stuff. So we were trying to come up with songs that had that kind of thing going on, but synthesized and everything, but it wasn't working for us. Whatever the reason was, it wasn't working for us. I'm gonna probably blame me, because I was still so hung up on playing my bass, and I was resisting going over the bass synthesizer and just letting Vicky play bass synthesizer. We can just kind of move forward with that. I was resisting that. Again, the ideas and thoughts in my mind was Commodores, Earth, Wind & Fire, Chic, Slave, those type of bands. But what I really wasn't conscious of, that era was going out. That era was fading out. Okay, and of course by this time, by 1981, hip hop, what was called rap at that time, rap was growing and growing and growing more and more. So drum machines were starting to play a major issue here in mainstream music and main pop music. Bass synthesizer was playing more of a role in pop music at this time. Guitar was being pulled out more and more. And substituting for guitar was synthesizer stabs and hits and sound effects and stuff like that. So things were changing, but I wasn't changing, because I was still going with the acoustic instruments that I grew up hearing, and Chace was still doing stuff like that. And I think at this phase, all of us kind of weren't thinking along that lines, though I think my cousin Randy was thinking along that line more than most of us, but definitely more than me, as he tried to point me towards Prince and what Prince was doing with Controversy. I was, at this time, to be honest, I was a Prince hater. I was a Prince basher. I was not trying to hear Prince on any level back at this point. And it wasn't until my cousin Randy played Controversy for me. He tricked me into listening to it one night at his house. If you listen to, there's an episode that I have, a Prince episode that I have, I think it's called Purple. Listen to that episode and I tell that story. It's a really kind of cool story how he tricked me into listening to Prince. He and I would get together and have listening sessions at his house to find a direction for the band, because we were just kind of like screaming for better songs and better material. All right, so that was 20th Century Fox, a dud, a big time dud, crash and burn. After a couple of weeks of playing it, we threw it away and was like, it ain't working for us. So now we move into another song, and this is a song that Randy, guitar player, that he wrote the music for, and I wrote the lyrics for, and Tracy sang lead on it. Okay, so she was the lead vocalist on this song. I wrote the lyrics for it. Randy did the music for it, and the song is called On the Money. Okay, and I liked On the Money. I thought it was kind of a cool song, but what I felt about it, it really wasn't our sound. And let's take a listen to it, and I'm gonna probably play On the Money in full, because the recording was a good studio recording. You know, we were now recording between Tracy's boombox, where you'll know because it's a more tinny sound, so you'll know when it sounds really tinny and high end, that's her boombox. But when it sounds really close up and really rich recordings, that was the studio. We had the guys in the studio, the engineers just hit the record button, and wherever the microphones were in the studio, it would record the room, and it would go to tape, to our cassette tapes, and it sounded good, and that was it, right? So I'm gonna play On the Money. Take a listen to it, and again, these are still the early stages. Warning, you will hear bad notes. Warning, you will hear pitchy vocals. You will hear vocals where you can't catch my breath. Vocals where it goes sharp and where it goes flat and where I don't hear what the hell is going on and I don't hear. You're going to hear all of that On the Money and many of the songs that follow as well, because this is what's happening when you're cultivating music. This is what's happening when you're trying to cultivate a band and get 5 people on the same page, and at the same time, we're not these virtuoso musicians and we're not these virtuoso singers. We're not the best singers in the world, and we're still young and we're trying to figure it out. We can't hear ourselves and we're pitchy, and also just you've been warned. You'll hear all of that. What we're listening for now is the growth of Chace. How Chace is growing from this point forward and how it's massaging itself and putting itself together. And you're going to hear that now. Let's go to On the Money, and then I'll come back and give you my views about On the Money. Here we go. On the Money. warned you. I'm sure you heard some of the pitchiness. I'm sure you heard some of the sour notes here and there and stuff like that going on. Now, let's rewind a minute. I like On the Money. I think On the Money is a good song. I really do. But I didn't think it was a Chace song. And one reason why, here we go. All you folks always heard me say, I'm not a jazz musician. And On the Money sounded very jazz to me. And my thought, my dream, my vision about Chace to me was a funk, pop, R&B dance band. But we weren't writing that. And I couldn't articulate that at the time, right? So I would get like attitudes. I'd get upset. I'm like, I like it, but there's something missing. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me what the hell is missing. What is the problem? You know, it was like, well, is it Tracy singing? Is it the bass line? Is it Randy on guitar? Is what Vicky playing on keyboards right? Is Randy's part on drums working? Who is it? What is it? How come this song isn't working? But to me, I realized it was too jazz. To me, it was a beat cut. If we were doing an album, it should have been on the album. It would have been great on the album. I really felt that about it. But in terms of a song to shop around for a record company to try to get a record deal out there, I didn't think that On the Money was good enough. It was just one of those songs that to me just wasn't on the money. I listed the lyrics that I wrote on that song, and I'm still like, you know, there's nothing like taking control of all things. Just the lyrics to me still felt and sound amateur. It just wasn't popping. It just wasn't happening to me. And so I made that clear. Now we kept On the Money. If I remember right, we kept On the Money on our list because we felt it was a good song, and we felt that once the band made it out there, we got a record deal, we started doing tours and doing different things, we would need songs that we were comfortable at least playing, or at least enjoyed playing, and we felt would be good stage songs, good songs to go on tour, and good performance songs. And I really felt, and even to this day, I still felt that On the Money was that kind of a song. And I really felt that back then and even now, that On the Money in concert was a much better song live in concert than what it would have ever been as a recording song and playing on the radio. Now, you know, what do y'all think about that? That's just my feeling about it, but that's how I felt about it. I mean, if you feel it would have been good on the radio and good on the album, I also felt it would be a good album song as well. But I didn't feel that On the Money was a strong enough song to help us get a record deal, and if we had gotten a record deal, to help us get on the radio and have a hit song or a top 10 or a top 20 song on the radio. I just felt it wasn't it. And I think the rest of the band members felt the same way, because we ended up, for the most part, dumping On the Money and not going much further with it. Kind of left it where it was, you know. We would practice it every now and then just to kind of keep our chops going on with it. We'd practice every now and then, and that was that. The next song up was a song that I came up with called Right on Time. And the bass line, which I'll go here, I felt that when I first came up with this bass line, where's my little thing for my leg? All right. When I came up with this bass line, I really thought at the time it was kind of cool. Okay. When I came up with this bass line, once again, sitting in my bedroom on the edge of my bed, trying to come up with songs that I thought the rest of the band members would like, trying to come up with bass lines and grooves that I thought the rest of the band members would like, and that I also personally thought that could compete and felt good, like what we're hearing on the radio. And keeping in mind, again, another person on radio back in those days who was really hot was Tina Marie, you know, and her bass lines were killer bass lines. She's one of my ultimate idols, you know, but her bass lines and her grooves were just killer. And I knew as a bass player, and with the dream of having a band that was a dance, funk, R&B band, we'd have to come up with those type of bass lines that could rock like a Tina Marie, who was hot back at that time, you know? So I was sitting on the edge of my bed trying to do this, and I kept with this bass line. I'll play it. Now, alone by itself, it's a pretty hot bass line. I was pretty proud of myself when I came with this bass line, 'cause I was like, oh, this sounds pretty damn good. Hey folks, sorry to jump in right here, but I gave all these examples and played my bass or right on time, the whole thing, but I forgot to play the daggone song. So let's cut to the song right now, and then we'll pick up where we just left off at, all right? So here we go. Sorry for interruption, but here we go. Right on time. Here we go. right about here is where I take a moment to pause from this episode to encourage you to check out my website, davidknightcompose.com. There, you can see more of my history, listen to my music, read articles I've written, check out my hobbies, watch my videos and live streams, and after all of that, you're going to want to take a second and sign up for my email list because I genuinely want to share everything about me with you. All right? It says davidknightcompose.com. Okay, let's get back to the show now. Peace. So we have that bass line for Right on Time. And again, I think it's a really cool bass line. So we get together and we begin to play it. Vicky puts in a part, Randy comes with the guitar part with it, you know. And Tracy says, she wants to me, she goes, let me write lyrics for this. I want to write lyrics for this. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, you did On the Money. I want to write lyrics for Right on Time. I'm like, all right. So we did a recording of it, instrumental, and she took it home. And she wrote lyrics. And they were really cool lyrics. I thought the lyrics to Right on Time was probably, the more I think about it now, was probably about the best part of the whole damn song. You know? I believe, and if she comes on the show and talks about it, I believe that the song had to do with our relationship, which was new at the time. That she was saying, hey, baby, you came right on time. You know, stay forever, just a little while. And I thought that was a really cool hook for a song. And I thought she did an excellent job writing the lyrics in that song. But the song still missed the needle. It still missed it. It still, even though it was funky, even though it was danceable, and it had a funk bass solo in it, and a smoking guitar solo and stuff like that going on, it still, to me, Right on Time was like an R&B funk jazz song. And it was cool, but it still missed the mark. You know, to me, it still missed the mark. And I was like, I don't know. But we played it, and we played it, and we played it, and we worked it, and we got it to a certain point where we felt that this is about as far as it's going to go, and we kind of dropped it. But like On the Money, we kept it in the queue, we kept it on the list because, again, we felt that it would be a really cool song to do live in concert, live show. It'd be a really kind of cool song to do. It would be a good song to put on the first Chace album, you know, and all that stuff as well. It would be good to do, okay? So we kept it, right? But then, again, me being very frustrated and me trying to figure out what can we do now to get better songs, because again, we're down 3 songs: 20th Century Fox, On the Money, and Right on Time. 3 songs now have been written and have been rehearsed and have been arranged and tried and all that stuff, and it still just wasn't clicking. It still just wasn't kind of coming together, right? It still wasn't there. And so something else was needed. But while we were testing out all of those songs and trying to get all those songs happening, trying to get all those songs going, I was home back in the family dining room at the family piano writing a ballad. And again, I'm still in Commodore mode, Lionel Richie mode, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm writing this ballad, and I come up with this melody on the piano. And I heard this melody, and so I brought it to rehearsal. I said, you know what? I like this. I had lyrics for it, I wrote lyrics for it, and I called it Share a Little Love. And we sat down, and we would rehearse Share a Little Love. And by this time, we had, again, the full band there. And so we sat down, we rehearsed Share a Little Love. This was my first ballad that I wrote and that I felt like, okay, let's do this. And it was the first time one of my ballads was recorded. And we rehearsed it, we worked the song, and then we had the studio owners hit record, and we played this. And I warn you, this is vocal all over the place, and it was pitchy, sharp, flat, the whole thing, vocally. But what was there was the essence of a song, the essence of a well-written song, a decent song, but it was also showed me, and I think the other members, that we could play together as a band, and we could make music. And it wasn't happening on the dance and funk side, but when it came to this ballad, it was a game changer. So take a listen to Share a Little Love, the first song that I wrote that was ever recorded in some kind of way in the studio. Here we go.
Won't you be my bride? 'Cause in my life I want you, and oh my, I want you to be with me. 'Cause I've traveled all over the world, and I haven't seen a more beautiful girl.
Okay, so before I jump in and give you my feedback and my thoughts on Share a Little Love, what was happening at that time with this song, I had to come back in here and say a little something because for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you see that my hair is cut and I look a little different and all that kind of fun stuff because I chose to do something. If you've noticed, if you've been watching on YouTube, you've noticed that every song I put a slideshow in. So for 20th Century Fox, I put in pictures of me and the band members from that time in that studio where that song was rehearsed at and recorded at and the whole thing. And the same thing I did for Right on Time and for On the Money and all those songs. But when it came to Share a Little Love, I thought to do something a little different. I did a slideshow, but what I did was because Share a Little Love was a response, which you'll hear what happened. Well, let me say it now. When Tracy wrote, you may hear this again actually. When Tracy wrote Right on Time, the lyrics to Right on Time, she wrote those lyrics for me, for us. We had just begun dating. When I wrote Share a Little Love, that was kind of like my response song to her from Right on Time as well. Okay, I didn't tell her that at the time, so like I'm gonna say again, it's gonna be a little bit redundant in the show, but you'll see. But I guess she will hear that now when she listens to the show, the episode. She'll know that now. But what I decided to do was to build a whole slideshow around Share a Little Love. From the time that Tracy and I met, pictures of me taking her to the prom, wedding pictures, the kid's birth, her and I, music career in different studios, rehearsing at the college and all the different things that we did at that time, kind of almost up to present day. So you'll see a little history there of when we first met, when we started dating, the band, the music, all of that stuff, right up until the kids started being born and then they get older and blah, blah, blah. And I just thought it would be a good thing for all of you to kind of see that, you know. It made me feel really good to do it. And then what I did also, being that yesterday was Mother's Day, I gave it to Tracy. I gave that section of the show to her as a Mother's Day gift, with her and I singing Share a Little Love, with us clashing notes, and every time we hear that song we cringe because our vocals were just really horrible, but you still heard the essence of the song. But I took that song as it was from how we recorded it back in 1981, and I put all these still images and video, 8mm video recordings that I took of the kids and her and I when we were still together back in those days, and I made a whole big slideshow, multimedia show on top of Share a Little Love, and I gave it to her for Mother's Day yesterday. And it just made me feel really good to do that. And I also gave a copy of it to our 3 children, Rhea, Kyle, and Colin. It gives them a chance to once again see themselves as being newborn babies and up until present day and things they're doing now as well. So if you're listening to this only audio, when you get a moment, go to YouTube and just check out the video side, and you'll see all the different images and video stuff that I did as well. And I think you just might like it. And being that I had to record this, I kind of recorded this later and then edited it in, but being that I had to record this before Mother's Day, I can't tell you what the outcome of giving it to her as a gift was. I guess it'd be pretty positive, I guess. We're cool now. We're really good friends and everything is good. But I want to do something more this year because I'm putting closure on Chace as a whole, I guess I should say, and that time and that era in my life. And I wanted to give her a little something for Mother's Day and say, hey, this was us back then, and we're different now, but we're moving forward together now with our children, and it's all wonderful, it's all great. And I said, what better way to do that than this little multimedia slideshow with Share a Little Love underneath it, give it to her as a Mother's Day gift, and also send the copy to the children as well, now all adults with their own children, as you'll see in the slideshow. So if you get the opportunity, if you remember, go to YouTube, check it out. And I may actually cut that part out and just put it out there just as a standalone as well. I don't know what I'm going to do. But either way, check that out, okay? So let's get back to the show. And where I had to edit this in, I'll pick up there so you'll hear some redundant stuff back and forth. Putting this episode together never ended. It was like either I forgot to put in something or I got a new idea and wanted to put that in. So I put it in. So, man, but that's okay. I want you guys to have my heart and soul on everything that I do as much as I possibly can. All right. So let's go on back and you're going to hear, we're just going to pick up at, I'm going to say that's Share a Little Love, but you already know that because you already heard it. All right. So here we go, folks. Back to the show. Bye-bye. All right. That's Share a Little Love. Do you see what I mean? Rather, I'll say, do you hear what I mean? That's like a demo. And you're talking 42 years later, and I still get really emotional when I hear that song because it was such a pivotal song in my life that it still chokes me up. I mean, let me stop playing. It does. It still really chokes me up. That song just still hits me because it was such a pivotal song in my life as a young songwriter and also for the band, also for Chace, because Share a Little Love told me several things. One, it told me that the band has a sound. We found some kind of sound with that song that we were all able to say like, whoa, that sounds really good. You know, it just sounds really good. It told me as an individual, one, I could write a pretty good song when I keep working at it. And remember, you know, Share a Little Love was the second ballad that I wrote after Fantasy World. I wrote Fantasy World and Share a Little Love the same year. I wrote Fantasy World in May, June of 81, and then I wrote Share a Little Love somewhere around October, November, okay, of the same year of 81. And I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret, all right? I haven't really told anybody this, but I'm going to say it now because it's 42 years later, and I guess I can. But Share a Little Love was my response song to the lyrics that Tracy wrote in Right on Time. Her lyrics were, hey baby, you came right on time. Stay forever or just a little while. My lyrics was, oh my, won't you share a little love with me? You know, and I never told her that. I guess she'll know now when she hears this or when she comes on the show, you know, I guess she'll know then. But I didn't tell her that back then. People were like saying, oh, you wrote that for your girlfriend? Like, nah, I didn't write that for my girlfriend. Nah, man, it's a song I wrote. That's it. Just a song, you know, male ego, male pride, 19 years old, who the hell knows? But yeah, that actually was my, you know, in music you do call and responses. That was actually my response for Right on Time, the song that she wrote. Okay, and so another thing with Share a Little Love was that you can hear it in my voice. This was my first time singing. This was my first time singing a song that I wrote and recording it. And you can just hear in my voice trembling, my voice shaking, the nervousness in my voice. You could hear it. It was all right there. And I play that back now and I'm just like, oh my goodness. I was 19 years old. 19 years old, sitting behind this piano, singing in the studio, a song that I wrote with all these other musicians and people in the room. I was scared. I was nervous. You hear it in my voice. And of course you hear me going sharp, me going flat. Mine and Tracy's harmony is clashing left and right in the whole 9 yards. But you still, it didn't take away from the heart and soul and the essence of the song. You know, I mean, honestly, if Share a Little Love, if we weren't going sharp and flat in our vocals and clashing with our harmonies and stuff, I would take Share a Little Love and put it out today. Because that's how much I think the song, how good I think that recording actually really is. All right, so yeah, you can hear it, man. You can hear the nervousness, me quivering, me shaking in my pants, you know, and not hitting notes and not breathing correctly because, like, it was my first time ever singing, first time ever recording one of my songs and singing at the same time. So it was just a magical, magical night for me. And I believe for all the other members of Chace as well. It was a pivotal moment. Another interesting part of that song is I didn't write it as a duet. And even though her and I sang it as a type of duet, it wasn't written that way. It was written just as for a solo singer, for me to sing the song by myself, kind of like to her type of thing, but she just kind of grabbed the microphone and just started singing stuff in the back. I was like, okay, but and I didn't want to stop the presser, stop the recording to say something, so I just let it roll, and that was that. You can hear that she was very hoarse in the song when she was singing. Her voice was very hoarse. In the beginning, you heard her say, nothing's coming out, right? Because she had been singing Right on Time and On the Money, all those other songs, all rehearsal long, and then we did Share a Little Love. She lost her voice. So she tried singing some of the stuff in Share a Little Love, and it just wasn't coming out. She was like, it's not coming out. And I gave her the look of death when she did it, because we were already rolling. The red light was on. We were recording. Everything was a go, and she's talking on the tape. You don't talk on the tape? That's Share a Little Love. It was a pivotal song. It set us up for what's coming up next. It set us up for new songs. It told the band that we're good musicians, we're writing good songs, we got good stuff, and we can come together as one unit, okay, and play and make it sound pretty damn good. It gave us such a boost of confidence. Randy and I would go and sit in his car and put the cassette tape in and play Share a Little Love, and just analyze it, okay? Something else. It also told me that, because in that recording, I'm playing piano, I'm singing lead vocals, and I'm also playing bass on the song as well. So it told me that in some kind of way, I can be a multi-instrumentalist as well, okay? So that was pivotal for me. That gave me a big shot of confidence as well, saying like, yo, I can sit here and play piano and sing this song at the same time, and then go in the control room, pick up my bass, and play bass on top of it as well. All right? So it was just such a magical night, such a magical evening when we did this recording, and it set us up really well for what was about to come in the very near future. And it gave me the inspiration to take myself home, pick up my bass guitar, sit on the edge of my bed, and come up with a funk bass line. Because remember, we were still down a dance song. We had a ballad in the pocket. We said, okay, we got Share a Little Love, good little ballad in the pocket. Okay, cool. We have Right on Time, good album song. We have On the Money, good album song. 20th Century Fox, good in the garbage. It worked out really good in the garbage, and that was that. But we were still shy of a dance up-tempo funk song. And don't forget, this is 1981. Tina Marie, Prince, Rick James, Earth, Wind & Fire, the Commodores, Chic. You had so many artists out there who were just blowing it up left and right, and they were all of our idols. So, for us to have nerve and the kahunas, or whatever you want to call it, to get out there and write songs as a band and compete with these bands who were selling millions and millions, or I should say tens and thousands and millions of copies of records, that was a big, tall order for us. It really was. So, but Share a Little Love gave us the confidence that I think we needed and set us up for what was about to come. So I'm going to leave this episode right here. And next is part 3. And part 3 is where things take a whole different shift. A whole big shift in many, many, many positive ways, but now also negative ways as well. And it begins to boil into something other than I thought it was ever going to do. All right? So until then, hang tight. Part 3 is coming up. And until then, as my grandmother would say, keep on living. Night out. If you enjoyed this episode, take a moment and leave a 5-star comment. I'd really appreciate it, and it seriously helps others find the show. Thank you for listening. I know you have a ton of other things on your plate that you could be doing and maybe you should be doing, but you took a moment to hang out with me, and I'm so, so grateful. So until next time, as my grandmother would say, keep on living. Night out.